Welcome to GTM Unfiltered, hosted by GTM veterans Judd Borakove, Craig Rosenberg, and Matt Amundson. We make talking business fun and sometimes funny. That's because we're always unscripted, unfiltered, and unlike anything else out there. Get ready.
It is amazing that our first podcast together is marked by, I think Matt put it well, which is it's very 2021 of us because I have COVID.
Well, and it's a podcast too.
And you're not dead.
What did I call it?
Hi. It's a podcast, which is very 2021.
That's true.
And you have COVID.
Very 2021.
It's three dudes.
Three dudes. That might be 99. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's, that's a good point. Actually, how many, we should have we should do a lookup on how many podcasts have three dudes on them. I mean, a lot of in the top 20. I mean, it's crazy. Anyway, hey, by the way, Matt, I had this surprise one for Judd to start this off. The one you and I ask everyone. Make sure I ask this correctly. Judd, are you ready? So you're going to be on a desert island, or not a deserted island the rest of your life, but you get to choose one thing to eat every day for the rest of your life. And there's no health considerations. It's whatever you would enjoy eating the rest of your life. What would that be?
Yeah, you get to stay your same ripped Judd self.
Yeah, I was going to say, by the way, that's why I threw it in. Judd is so ripped that I thought he was going to answer, well, I need my proteins, right, to reach this level and like whatever. But no, forget all that. Okay. You'll still be ripped. You'll be able to deadlift competitions with Matt via Zoom. But yeah, what would that food be?
Be one of two directions. And I don't know if you guys have it, and maybe this is not considered part, but I have this kava bowl that I go get all the time that I love, and I love that they have the pickled onion. Not everybody loves this. But I'm like, pour it on, and they're like staring at me, and they keep going, and the thing is like piled this high, and then I eat it all, and they're like, this guy's fucking crazy. It's either got to be that or the steak and potato meal, because man, I love me some steak and potatoes.
All right. Well, you surprised us on answer number one. I mean, Matt, I don't know about you, but that's definitely not one we've heard before.
Well, kava bowls is just not popular in California. It's not here yet, but it's all over the East Coast, and anybody who just loves it.
I knew the guys when they started their first restaurant. It was just called Kava Mesa Grill, and it was like a little sit down place. And they rolled out the first one in Bethesda, Maryland, and then just got so much VC backing. I mean, I think they've raised like nearly $200 million. Yeah, and these like some thick Greek dudes. Like
that's awesome.
There's some interesting guys.
Well, I mean okay. So basically, what you're saying is, one day I may understand this.
Oh, yeah. When you come in next, I'll take you for some. You'll be like, oh, now I get it.
I love it.
It's like Chipotle Mediterranean style.
Wait, but Matt, I forgot what your answer was. Mine was carne asada burrito, SoCal style, maybe like a Roberto's, like a meat, primarily guacamole, less of all the other things for me. Also, the tortilla I will request from whoever it is that's delivering it to me every day for the rest of my life. That the tortilla has to be grilled nicely.
Oh,
like, it cannot be floury and like uncooked. All right.
So I can't remember what my initial answer was, but I got sold hard on Laurel's, like Mediterranean, because I've been like just on this massive Nick the Greek kick for the last couple of weeks, and it's just, it's salad, but it's protein, it's fresh, it's delicious, it's filling. It's really what you want.
He threw like the healthy kind of thing. Like I was like,
by the way, I can only hope that people listen to this and put in their answer and we get surprised. By the way, I chose the least healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a really good answer because the thing about a carne asada burrito is I could eat it every day for sure and not get sick of it.
Right. Well, that's part of the thing is like,
you got to be able to.
Yeah. And so like Judd, like you're eating a kava bowl the rest of your life. Are you down with onions piled to the top? You down with that?
That was lunch today.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. So, well, I'm so excited. This is, by the way, Judd, just so you know, part of this podcast is a combination of various people that I have conversations with all the time and rarely get to the point, because I love hanging out with both of you guys. So it's great to see the mashup here, but we will get to some points here because we are supposed to talk B2B go to market.
Wait. Food's not B2B.
Well, food is B2B. You got to eat in order to deliver.
I feel like food is like the epitome of B2B, especially like back in the day with all the startups. It was like, which food should we have in the kitchen? And
actually, you know what?
Kitchen.
That's a twist. Wait, Matt, let me ask you this. You're back in the swing of things. Do you guys order food in?
We do. Yeah. We have food Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's how you get people to come back to the office.
Give them stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have a foosball table?
We do.
Is it a legit foosball table?
Well,
Like,
so here's,
temperament?
I'm not a foosball connoisseur, so I can't really determine like the sophomoric foosball table from the legit foosball table. What I will say is we do have a very nice ping pong table, and
I was gonna just ask, you have to have the ping pong if you got the foosball. So there you go.
yeah, that does become a distraction both from a noise perspective and like people just love to play it. So it's there, but it's not. We're not encouraged to use it.
Got it. Yeah.
Do you have sleep pods?
No, thank God, no.
Okay.
Although
No,
that brings up an interesting topic. The Google Hotel for $99 a night for Google employees. Have you guys seen this?
What?
Oh,
In an effort
Wait,
to, I'm dead serious, man. I'm dead serious.
okay,
This
bring it.
this was sweeping the news the last couple of days. In an effort to get people to return to the office, they are offering, Google on their campus is offering to stay in their hotel for $99 a night, which, I mean, calculating Bay Area rents, like not a bad deal.
I might stay there the whole month.
It's $3
It's
grand.
it's $3,000 a month if it's nice enough.
Yeah. What the heck?
Okay.
Well,
If anybody watches this and they see it, like, would you stay at a Google hotel indefinitely, or at least?
yes. Oh, indefinitely. I got it.
I mean, at least like, hey, would you do like 3 or 6 months there?
Sure.
Wait, is it in Mountain View?
It's on their campus.
Okay, well that's a factor. I mean, it depends on your age, I think. But like if you're well, I don't know. Are there activities? Like is it like that's
I've been on
not
Google campus before. They have full volleyball court, full gym, full cafeteria, like everything that you would
It's
need
Google.
is there. Yeah.
It's Google.
Yeah.
You know they're gonna have everything. They probably
The
have
food-
like
food
high-end,
is-
like James Beard award-winning chefs cooking the
yeah,
food.
yeah, you're right.
Speaking
All right,
of weird,
what do you think? Would you stay in it? Judd?
Yeah.
Or Matt?
yes.
Yeah, me too. 3-0.
'Cause you-
3-0 Google Hotel.
Yeah, you know it's gonna be nice. They don't do anything like half-ass. So
Yeah.
okay, let's take that, like Google. Yeah, B2B, B2C, whatever. Who are you most excited about right now? What they're doing, their messaging, what's going on right now, like that you guys are seeing in the news. Big company, small company, whatever. Talk. What's exciting you? What sounds interesting? Who's changed their messaging or their brand or something that's got you going? Because I feel like it's been lackluster for the last year and a half.
It has. I mean, to me, it feels like the marketing department, and obviously as a marketer, I think a lot about marketing departments that's doing things really right and absolutely crushing it is Denise Pearson's team at Snowflake. Like, what? She is.
Wait, hold on. Craig, how much were they charging to be a part of their conference? What was entry?
Oh, I paid. It was expensive.
Okay, but let's go back to the billboards, because here's the thing, Judd. It's hard to tell, right? Messaging pivots right now. Because I'm actually just adjusting to how I consume messaging and information, etc. So you can get me with. So what I was going to say before Matt went first purposely in order to preempt me was it's definitely the Snowflake billboard, because, but that has not new. Okay. That has rolled all the way through. the question is, how long can they ride this? Because it's unstoppable. I mean, I can't wait to see the next billboard. So like that, to me, Judd, it almost answers your question 3 years ago and today, because I don't think it stopped, but it's also partly because I'm not getting as much, maybe, Dreamforce is coming up. So I'll get a whole bunch of messaging changes and value prop changes. But like, I would have to agree with Matt. My question though, for Matt, and then I'm going to ask, well, Judd, you may not, do you guys have the Snowflake billboards in Atlanta?
Nope.
Oh, bro. Oh,
Yeah.
bro. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Okay. These things, they're on 101. Okay. So, 101, you get you get out of the airport, it's about 4 billboards up from the airport, and they've been switching them. I don't know what frequency for years. And they're cute. They're funny, but they're impactful and make the point. It's wild. Like the agency there is just, I mean, Denise obviously is a genius, and we know she's one of the best CMOs of all time. But like, this is a like batting what, 900?
Oh,
So
I mean, has there been a bad one? It's unbelievable. And the thing is you ask how long it can go on. The reality is probably for forever. And
I mean,
there's no reason to change it.
They can go forever. I mean, look at freaking Chick-fil-A. They've been rolling with those cows for the last 12 years, and they still play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think they're, when you think about a data warehouse, and it's like, hey, we have basically infinite storage capability. Like, people are going to be putting stuff in their cloud data warehouse from now until eternity. And I think Snowflake has about 8,000 customers. So if you just said like, hey, we're going to swap this once per month featuring a new customer, they've got 8,000 months worth. And I don't have 8,000 months worth of life left.
by the way, I have a twist for you too, Judd, which is because me and Matt have talked about the billboards forever. Like, it's been a wonder, but I have a twist, which is not answering your question, but is interesting, which is I still think the best billboard campaign in tech of all time was ... Oracle, which was when they went around every airport, major freeway in tech land, and had just really simple ads that said, I don't know if the numbers are right, so please don't quote me on it, 10 out of 10 of the top e-commerce providers use Oracle.
Yeah.
100 of the top Fortune 100 use it. It was the simplest message. It was crazy because it was verticalized.
Yeah.
Right. So like, it wasn't just the Fortune 100. It was like, I'm sure they had one up by like in the Beltway on how many government companies. It was, it's so memorable to me. I never forgot it. And there's so much to learn now for like doing B2B, which is like, account-based and ideal customer profile, highly targeted focus, verticalization. You want to be able to create a billboard that says, let's say if your top vertical is construction, 50 out of the top, 50 construction companies use, in my case, maybe Dusty Robotics. And, but you know what I mean? What do you think?
Not a shameless plug. Not a
By
shameless
the way, but Judd, what do you think? I mean, did you ever see those, man? Like, those were amazing. They were so simple.
You know what I loved about it, though, because the way I think about it is they also were really good at taking advantage of what was playing at that time. Like, everybody was following suit. And we're seeing that that's diminishing, right? It's not about who uses who anymore. Now it's about, do you know the person and can you go have a conversation? Like, how much closer to the real deal can you get? It used to be, remember, let's talk Gartner and Forrester. It used to be, if you got in a waiver quadrant, you didn't really have to do anything. It was game over. And now that's not as cut as and dry. There's more players that people are looking at. There's hyper focus use cases. Like, things are changing. But what I swear Oracle nailed it so perfectly at that point, because that's what people were buying off of, and they owned it, and it worked. But when was the last time you saw an Oracle billboard?
Well, How dare you throw that punch in at the end? I like that. I like that. Yeah. So that I don't know, Judd, but did you have like some messaging? Because Matt and I really didn't deliver on any kind of twists from the last
No,
year.
I don't know if there's a big twist that I could say there's one group that's really impressed me out of everybody. But what I have noticed is the messaging is changing. The way that people are messaging, the way that people, it's so much more conversational, even in marketing now in general, that I think we're starting to see the shift everywhere. All the companies are starting to pick up and kind of say, okay, it's all about the customer. How do we make it conversational? How do we make them feel like we care?
Yeah.
And the ones that really do, I think, are rising to the top. The ones who actually built their businesses to care about their customers, not the ones who are like, oh crap, it's that time. We have to pretend like we care. It's becoming more and more obvious. So that's just something that I've been picking up on in a different messaging that I'm seeing out there.
Yeah. I think in general, you're seeing B2B companies lean into more B2C centric messaging, which is all about the customer. And I think that plays really well. I think, the thing that sort of was the messaging du jour from a few years ago was like always talking about outcomes, which, hey, that's great, but it's always dependent upon every business. And if you can speak to how this actually improves your life as a user, I think that works a lot better. This is like you can talk Simon Sinek and start with why. You can talk about like the is, does, means methodology for how you do messaging. But like in general, like getting to the heart of what an actual person is doing and like what their day-to-day workflow is like, and if it's challenging or if it's cumbersome or if it's tedious, and addressing that seems to be messaging that's resonating really well. The thing that I don't like, that I'm seeing a fair amount of, is the buy this to save money.
Yeah. Never works.
It never works. You do not spend your way into savings. It doesn't work.
Dude, oh my God. I mean, because I was a consultant in 2000. Remember, I mean, you guys, Matt was probably still playing football at UCLA, but like
still on the team, but playing, we'll see.
But like everyone tried that. I mean, it was like everyone pivoted to this spend money to save money messaging. 2008, like that brief nuclear winter, people try to do that. And guess what? Like that doesn't work. You don't see it in any consumer messaging. Well, I mean, you do, but it's cheaper. Like, and that's not, but like whenever folks do that, to me, it shows like, it's a lack of understanding of the buyer, to be honest with you, because sure, if you ask them, what's the number one thing you're trying to do right now? It's like, we're trying to cut back and save money. Okay, great. But that doesn't mean you message to it, right? Because at the end of the day, people buy to be, to kill pain and be bigger, better, stronger. And like, they don't spend money to save money. And that messaging has never worked. I can't believe we're back in that.
I don't think the model works. It's the messaging, because one, it's a misstatement, because in truth, what, a rip and replace won't have a cost. Yeah, we're going to replace your 3 systems. Yeah, we're going to change where your data flows. We're going to get, oh yeah, it's going to be a year.
Yeah. By the way, totally, you're dead on, dude, because like that was one of the big things I learned at Gartner and talking to the enterprise was that like, I realized that in many times that from a tech marketing and sales perspective, it's not that we just don't understand that they actually, their first instinct is cost and human cost, resource cost. Like these things, it's exactly what Judd said. They don't buy it because, by the way, even when things were good, they were going through their head going, this is going to take 30 guys. I got to go get this to all these people. And they're
totally. Yeah. Totally. And if your product is simple to set up, if your product is fast, like you got to lean into that. You got to show it, you gotta demonstrate it. Like if you're like, hey, we've got a UI that connects this to this. It's just boom, you point and click at it, or you add your address to it. You're pushing it over here. You point and click to it. You're done. If you can't get to that either quickly on your website or in a demo, like no bueno. Because I think for me, it's funny because this is a little bit of a topic of conversation internally at the company I work for. Is like, I avoid sales cycles because I think they're going to be long, they're going to be drawn out. Eventually, there's going to be some cross-functional nature to an implementation where I'm going to have to work with other people in the organization. I don't understand their workloads. I don't understand like what's on their priority queue. So it's like, hey, do I have to go to the engineering team in order to get this done? Do I have to go to the finance team in order to get this done? Like those are things that freak me out about either spending money in a new category where I've never made a purchase before, or ripping and replacing something. Is like, what is the actual cost of this? How many people are going to be associated with it? And I think a lot of sales reps and marketing teams, for that matter, only think about like, hey, here's what it costs in a contract. They don't think about the total cost of ownership the way a lot of consumer brands think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, this leads to a good question.
Oh, good.
So let's see.
We'll see.
You've been on a roll. You go 3 for 3, but go ahead.
We'll see. I mean, so really what we just said is there's no real calculated ROI, right? It's like, oh yeah, it's cheaper. Is it really? Is the ROI calculator dead? And how are people now figuring out ROI? What do they trust?
Yeah. So I think ROI calculators work with a caveat. The caveat is I've never used one to purchase software in the past ever before, but I think of them as like a lead gen tool, especially if it's like publicly facing and someone can utilize it to like do some calculations on your website. People are always impressed by these things, but I think the thing that's never included in a ROI calculator is how many human beings are going to be associated with this project, what the cost of, if you're ripping something out is going to be, what the downtime, like the sort of digital transformation process in place around adoption and whatnot. So that's the hard part, is like, sure, this software costs this much, and we promise that we're going to give you a 30% increase in MQL to SQL, so you can then calculate the value based upon what your average deal size is or whatever. So there's a there to that. And I think in general, like if you're like a practitioner and you're sort of trying to get a contract up to a CFO and you've never done that before, that stuff can help the buyer make the case internally. And I think that that's often why a sales function would want the marketing team to build it. But like, if you're building one, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this $20,000 contract, this thing's going to save you $500,000 a year. I mean, the value is just inherent. Like, need we say more? Let me issue you a contract immediately.
And you just went to the point that I was trying to make, is I don't think anybody believes them. And who believes something that was built by the company that's trying to sell you to begin with?
Yeah.
I
mean, Craig does, but other than Craig,
everybody but Craig.
Wait, what?
You believe in ROI calculators. You were telling me that.
Okay, let's talk about ROI calculators.
And then we're going to the rumor mill, just in case anybody cares.
Oh, geez. Judd, you've done an amazing job of finding gaps in the conversation and bringing questions. I'm going to give you credit for that.
Oh,
honestly, it was amazing. So, first of all, are you serious, Matt? You think you're one of the best demand gen guys I know? You are. That's not to butter you up before I drop a bomb.
Yeah.
But like
but he's about to drop a bomb.
Well, because I've never seen Matt put an ROI calculator as a demand gen device as his like thing. I just thought I was surprised to hear that.
Well, I like them for demand.
I like them, but I don't use them.
There's a lot of things that I like that I don't build. I mean, this house, for example, it's a fine home, but I wasn't responsible for building it. But no,
but you live in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. But seriously, I'm going to start with that. I have more to it, but like, you would recommend to someone, hey, dude, you should do an ROI calculator as an offer on your website?
Here's what I would say. Is like, if you created one, it definitely wouldn't hurt you and it would draw people in. And like, especially if you're in a category that people don't understand the value around, it's an easy way for you to sort of say, great, we're building you this thing. It's helping you send more sales emails, or it's helping you attract more visitors to your website. Based upon what we think we can do for you, this is the expected ROI. And somebody who's probably mid to lower level can utilize that to go make a business case internally to buy something. Is it short-sighted? Of course. Is it cutting corners around what the real cost is? Yeah, of course. But it is a place where someone can have a conversation with your brand around the value without necessarily having to raise their hand and speak to a salesperson, which in general, people are almost always going to opt for.
Okay.
Hold
Got
on,
it.
Frank,
So
real
as a tool.
quick though,
Yeah.
because just a caveat there. So do you see it as top of funnel, mid funnel, or late funnel?
Late fun.
Whoa.
I knew this was going to be an interesting one because like, I think of it as like mid funnel. We got a late funnel and top of, and I think that's the interesting part of a calculator, right? You can use it how you want, but do you believe it? And that's where we've seen things like TI reports, go to market partners do one. There's a couple others. There's a lot of stuff coming out now where people are like, we will calculate it and you have a third party validated piece. Is it any different?
No, but well, first of all, in the research house sort of ROI pieces like go to market partners and the Forrester and whatnot, those do tell stories too. It reflects ROI, but it's in the form of a story and a use case. That's just a little bit different. But let me just go through. That was you threw me off a bit because I have to say. So one is, by the way, I'm going to start this with one of my favorite quotes. So years ago, before I started Topo, I was doing business with Lars Nilsson. We were like, just partnering up on consulting gigs, and we got pitched this like automated ROI thing, and I hadn't done a briefing with Lars yet, and I was surprised. The guy goes through the whole thing and goes, "Okay, your feedback," and Lars basically said, "This is terrible." But what he said was, so we both had done work years ago for this CRO who's like just old school, like incredible sound bites, often with profanity, insults, etc., just like dress you down type of guy. And he quoted him. I'm not going to put him in the podcast for now, but Lars will laugh when I say that, he used to say basically, if you're talking about ROI, you're not high enough in the organization. And so let me start there because that's partially true. The issue today is that the stakeholder map is much different than it was 2 years ago. You've got two things. Number one is the CFO and finance is like looking at $10,000 deals. Okay. And number two is you have shadow stakeholders all over the place. So like you just have to have tools that nullify their objections. Here's the issue. Number one is your ROI calculator is built for you to win, and they know that. So you guys, that's what you guys were saying before. Like for me, I tell salespeople, it's like, well, okay, hold on a second. Like you sales will get really excited because someone's going to say, yes, I can't wait to buy. They say, well, whoa, like, is this going to go to finance? Is it great? What type of format, template, et cetera, do they want to see to get for payback? Let's use that one. Okay. So that's one thing. This is down the funnel, Judd, right? Down the funnel. If you don't have one, I have one, but let's go through it and make it as custom to you, because the other thing that happens, I think, with ROI models, you guys tell me this, but like, it's so inside baseball, you're going to lose with the finance guy anyway. So like, a lot of the stuff we build in the ivory tower, and it's like, it's like, whoa, like we have to win the deal. And as you guys know, sales reps are losing deals at the end now, a lot more than they ever did. And it's because of new stakeholders who need to see things. So I do think the ability to show payback under the methodology that's used by the organization, it's critical. Even if they don't ask for it, someone in the sales team should help push for it. Marketing can help build it. I mean, you built an amazing one for one of my portfolio companies, Matt. I would argue that was probably used probably across the sales cycle because it was handling objections up front, middle, and end. But when I looked at it, it was like it had all the elements that their finance team would be able to look at and go, yeah, these look right. You
And
know,
that's where I think an ROI calculator can be most impactful in terms of winning deals is if you're deep into a sales cycle, you have a true understanding of what your customer is doing, what they need, what their current circumstances are, et cetera. And you can input all of that data into an ROI calculator. And in the case of that portfolio company, like these were all critical pieces because, you're talking logistics, there's tons of moving parts, there's tons of static parts, there's human beings involved, et cetera. So getting to a real ROI, like on a static web page is really, really challenging. Like just nobody's inputting that much data into an ROI calculator. And so one, you can have like this kind of loose one on your website that, creates a little bit of engagement with your brand. But like for somebody to truly transact, you're going to need to be deep in a cycle, have a ton of understanding of that business, and then be able to quantify all of that and then spit some number back out to them. That seems realistic. And things like 400% ROI, just like if I see that, I'm just like, absolutely not. There's 0% chance that that's happening. So the other thing I would suggest to people is like, we're marketers, we're hyperbolic by nature. But like, do not be hyperbolic with your ROI calculator. Like if I'm seeing like 50, 60% ROI, I'm like spectacular. 500%, anything with two zeros in the end, I'm like, that's not bullshit.
Okay. So hold on. So let me just add on. That was well said, although that's not what you said before. Said that. Huh?
What did I say?
You said it was a good demand gen.
Yes, because it brings people in. They're like, if I'm looking at two different businesses, like but I'm not going to buy because of that. I'm just getting understandably valued.
All right. It's just another great out. I get it. I shouldn't have brought that back up because I was convinced when you earlier.
Okay. So
wait, hold on. But the key here.
The key. Here we go.
We're going to have Matt Dixon on, who wrote Jolt Effect. And the whole book is essentially about the de-risking of the sales process. And what I would say, what Matt was describing is like a full life cycle de-risking, right? Because he was talking about if you're fast, tell them you're fast. If it's not hard to integrate, tell them and so everything we do needs to be to de-risk right now because there's so much risk. Okay. So for example, the ROI papers that you talked about, Judd, put them on the list. Like, okay, like what is that checklist of things that tell the buyer and his organization or her organization that the least amount of risk is, to reflect the least amount of risk. So things like something that proves out in detail how a company like theirs got ROI is just another de-risk thing. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really important, like as we talk about marketing and sales today, what's the number one thing that we need to do? We need to de-risk the living crap out of doing business with us.
Yeah.
And any type we see it, it's like that again, like Matt was saying, it's like you're fast or easy, tell them, make sure they know it, bang it on the drum and show it to them. Right. Like it's like, we're just trying to make sure that everything's getting de-risked down the line. I think like all of these topics coalesce, right? Like we have to be thinking about the life cycle and the areas where risk sort of pops its ugly head and what tools we can use in order to help there. So that's it. And I'm standing by it, and I will leave Matt alone on his ROI.
So here's a good question, right? We build all of our messaging, all of our programs around a persona or an ICP. Why, when they build an ROI calculator, do these things? Are they not specifically built for who you really need to sell to, which in most cases today are CFOs? Like they're dumbed down so that a different level person can understand them, but ultimately they're not really the user. They're not the person you're convincing. And I'm trying to figure out why everything else in business right now is moving towards persona, understanding pain, except we build products that are so wide and expansive that they don't make sense. So, yeah. And look, we can go to the product verse, blah, blah, but I feel like if you just look at go-to-market on a whole, that's a huge miss.
Bro, did you just say we can go to the product verse? What the hell was that?
Product verse.
Actually, that would be a great movie poster for product people. I have a comment on that. By the way, so far so good, really good questions. Although what I would say here on this, um, is you're right. I mean, I wasn't sure it was you know what I mean? Like it was almost a statement question. By the way, I love these anecdotes. All these anecdotes. My neighbor, Steve Stroud, he's like a CRO type. He was at ServiceNow for a long time, and he went to one of our dinners, Matt. I'm not sure you went to the one. It was in the city with the CROs, and everyone was talking about how the CFO and finance is in all our deals. And, he didn't really raise his hand, but when he was coming home in the Uber, he texted me, he goes, Craig, I just want you to know that for the lifetime of my selling, I always tell everyone that customer is the CFO. It's really interesting way to think about it. But I would,
coming from ServiceNow, I would assume that's always the case.
Yeah. By the way, what I would argue something a little different. I actually think we do a good job on the product side for the user. Maybe you guys think I'm crazy, but like we're so product centric now that I don't know. I'm just thinking of like the Canvas of the world. Like the users love them, right? Like what you're talking about, in my opinion, is the breadth and spread of the potential people in the buying process, the other stakeholders that we create personas for, and then we don't do anything about, finance being one of them. Like we don't build the tools for them.
It's part that, but it's also part actual product. While certain users, let's say, love Canva, who do we sell it to? If you're doing an enterprise deal, the users have nothing to do with it. And we're not building it for the user at that point, right? You're building it honestly to sell it. I mean, how many products have you used that sucked for you, but worked for someone else in your organization? Happens all the time because you were not thought of in that process. And I just feel like that's gotten bigger, not smaller.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Canva's an interesting case study, right? Because like Canva is in my opinion, the antithesis of like what most MarTech is. It's lightweight. It's easy to use. It walks you through very simple use cases and gets you started very fast. And I was having a conversation with somebody who's very, very well established CMO. And we were talking about, the differences between modern MarTech and Canva and why Canva's grown so fast. It's just so easy. It's so lightweight, solving a simple problem. And I think in general, what we get to with a lot of MarTech specific, overblown, so many use cases, tricky UI, in a lot of cases, UIs that were built a long time ago, so they don't feel very modern. And Canva just came to market with a kick-ass product that got so much adoption. They really had more of like a B2C motion in general and took a real bottoms-up approach to selling. So in a lot of cases, for their enterprise deals, and what they've done very effectively is looked at how many people within an organization are utilizing this product, and then gone directly to a CFO or a COO and said, hey, Mr. or Mrs. CFO, COO, did you know that you've got like 500 people in your company utilizing this and they're all charging their corporate accounts for it? And I'll tell you what, I'll just sell you an enterprise license and save you 30% right off the top. And it's like, boom. Game over.
But Matt, so it seems like, okay, let me go back to my original point. I'm going to bring it back to you, which is, so generally, Judd, I totally agree with you, except I don't know that there's that many products that didn't serve one persona, the user persona in today's world, right? That wasn't something built for them. Like the winner in that market likely really understood that persona. Now, I know where you're headed. Like there's some heavyweight sort of artillery marketing tech that may or may not make sort of the check boxes that you just described. But if you took over the last couple of years, we do have to admit that like the product people, generally speaking, have been pretty good when they have the opportunity to beat the living crap out of one persona. They think about, like you said, the UI, the ease of use, like what is their life like? That's just the one thing I would say. everything else is right, because the issue is there's 12 stakeholders in the buying map. And like, how do we serve them? But general, I mean, would you guys, I mean, wouldn't you say that like a lot of the products that really took off, right, generally served, well, I'm going to take myself back. I guess in security, they serve a major use case, not a person.
Not a person.
Okay.
I mean,
All
even
right.
in what we're Zoom use
What's
case,
that?
like Zoom, it's use case driven. You know, it's not really serving a specific person. It's probably one of the outliers that works pretty well across the users, no matter who they are. I mean,
But
it's
it wasn't designed for everybody.
not designed for, well, but
It
here,
was designed
right,
for simple people at first.
right. But I think that this is also a very interesting shift where what you brought up, Matt, like we're going more towards business that is, as we, you know, we'll say it, human to human. B2B is going more, it's more B2C. I mean, even PLG being a huge go-to-market motion, and even the hybridization of that, where you bring in sales, it's still so B2C focused, or really focused, customer to like we're people building for people. And I think that that's the big trend that's just going to continue. I don't know what the next movement of it is, but we shall see, because even Canva, if you think about it, the motion they use is one that's been around forever, right? You go bottom up, eventually you get enough artillery, there's enough people using, you go walk in with your enterprise guy and you close the deal. Been around forever. So maybe
one of the things that they did very differently that most people did not do, or don't have the sort of the instrumentation to do, is they store all their data in, I think, Snowflake, some cloud data warehouse. I'm pretty sure they're a Snowflake customer. Right. And they were able to pull all that data very effectively into their marketing tools and into their CRM. So they have visibility into, let's say, your Salesforce, and there's 1,000 people at Salesforce all utilizing Canva. They were able to see that very clearly, and they built a very streamlined process for it. So much so that, like, when I joined my new company, like in my account, it was like, hey, did you know that like there's a enterprise license at your business that you can sign into? So like they do it very brilliantly. I think in practice you would, or like in sort of, if you were whiteboarding it, you would say, of course, that's the right way to do it. But there's massive challenges on actually being able to detect who is and who isn't a customer all within an organization. And one of the smartest things that I heard, and it dovetails into this story, is I was having a conversation with everybody's favorite account-based marketer, John Miller. And he was saying ABM is like, the goal of ABM is not necessarily just to close a customer, but it's to get an enterprise license agreement into an organization. And I think you can also do that with PLG if you have the right instrumentation there. And that is, to me, that is the in a lot of ways, I think the future of products that are built for a very specific segment to go bottoms up and get a bunch of users in an organization, and then be able to then tell a real ROI story to a COO or to a CFO and say, hey, did you know if you wrapped all these users in an enterprise license, we can save you 20%, give you a customer success team, hold QBRs for you, do training for you, et cetera. But because you have all these individual users and they're all charging their Brex accounts on this, like you're paying, significantly more and getting significantly less value.
easy use case. Yeah.
But
Strong
yeah,
motion.
I think that's good. I think of what I'm realizing is something I already knew. So I'm just going to say something, which is no, but like bottoms up it depends on the persona. So I think we would all agree with that. Like,
sure,
you bottoms up with DevOps, you almost have to.
Have to.
You can't bottoms up in security. Well, I guess like a malware, it's like, I guess they maybe if there's some kind of
Circle
consumer-
CI.
Certain tools. I mean, it depends on how.
But it depends on whether you can go bottom up or top down. And have no idea why I just brought that up. But I did.
Well, okay. Then since you don't know, I'll take it from here and say, so I heard Matt say something that I'm going to question, that the gold standard.
Thank God, Jesus, man. I felt like, I'm just about to bring back.
Got to question this guy. But okay, we'll take John Miller out of the equation. But is enterprise the gold standard? Because I keep seeing everybody run at it like they always have. And I don't know if it's as good as it used to be. I don't know if it's as valuable as it used to be. Everybody still wants to be a whale hunter, and there's so much more business mid-market and SMB. Now, great, but can you and do, maybe we have an example of a product that serves SMB to the point that it is like a Salesforce. Like, I can't get rid of it.
HubSpot. But yeah, I mean, interesting take. Like, I love marketing to the enterprise in general. Like that's my favorite. I love a field motion. That's what I love. I will say that has always been, well, I think in general, it's been, hey, if you can sell into the enterprise and you have a truly great product, and like it sort of forces your hand around a lot of product level enhancements that you have to have in order to be able to sell, because just the procurement process is so challenging and there's so many eyeballs on it. So if you've built like a truly world-class product, you can sell it there. Now the question is like, does that necessarily mean the functionality is better, or does it have like just an admin console and like it's super secure and it keeps you out of scope for any compliance issues, et cetera? Like, that's actually what goes into a lot of products that make them truly enterprise. But I would say, like, I mean, worked at Marketo, have been a longtime Marketo user, using HubSpot now. Totally great product, perfect for where we are in our journey. And I'll give you like my first real hot take, I guess, of this of today's podcast is just, I think email marketing is not as valuable as it used to be by a long stretch. And like, do you really need the Ferrari or Cadillac Escalade of email marketing tools right now, when HubSpot is a great UI, super easy to use, and will give you about 80% of the functionality of a Marketo?
Yeah.
Ease of use. Like, come on, you got to be a developer to use.
Which one?
Wow, Judd, look how animated Judd got. Jeez, man.
And when you've played in these suites for long enough, you're just like, there's almost like that visceral effect. You're like, like we're like, I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
I think we should add that to the list for next time to talk about, because it is part of the overall playbook change, is the effectiveness of email marketing and other sort of things. So I think that was a good hot take. Although I would push back on Matt. I think you've had multiple hot takes throughout this. I'm surprised you would demean the quality of content that you provided here today. The hot take you delivered was with a buzzer beater, like with 10 minutes left on the clock.
Well, Marketo is what made my career, and I'm always very grateful for it. I've used it many times. I think it's an awesome tool, but I just think like inboxes are overflooded, and the saturation of email tools in general. And like, you could talk about, platforms like SalesLoft and Outreach too, that I've used in my past, which are great, but they are yet another delivery device into an inbox. And then all the litany of CS tools that will send emails to people. I mean, it's just a crowded house, and it's like, I don't want to spend my time there. And obviously Marketo does a whole lot more than just send emails, certainly. But like, that's what it's known for. Right. And it's very hard to demand gen your way to success via email marketing right now.
Yes. And Adobe has pretty much killed Marketo anyway. So moving on. Yep. I said it.
You went hot take over the top.
Oh, hells yeah. So let's close out though with the rumor mill.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I've been hearing lots of interesting stuff, and it's a hot topic for me in general, because I've been calling for this probably for the last like year. Consolidation. There are too many players in too many spaces that we have not seen consolidation occur. None of the big players are coming over the top and dragging them in. Let's start with, what space needs consolidation more than any other right now?
In the world of go-to-market?
In any world that you feel fit to talk about.
Okay.
I think we have too many planets. I was happy to see Pluto go. So, I mean, Neptune is clearly next.
Obviously. We don't need more planets. More moons.
But so I would just say, well, first, I'm not saying that your take is wrong, because every market consolidates. So like, with all due respect, you will have your self-fulfilling prophecy on that prediction at some point. They all
Oh, they all do. What? Well,
But
mine
I
is
do
around
think,
some,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say mine are around a couple specific spaces. I just didn't want to be the first to throw them out.
Yeah. Well, and I remember this like when marketing automation, there was like 8 vendors, and these just like, in my opinion, like just intellectually soft people were calling that the market would consolidate. It's like, yeah, dummy, like there's barely enough room for two. If you think about marketing automation, by the way, has done really well, but it's still not $1 trillion. I mean, it's a, it's a big business in terms of the value of the customer base is there, but it's, anyway, it was like, of course, like, so, so there's way too much. So to your point, Jed, there's way too much sales tech, market. I mean, you see the Brinker slides or whatever, and you see that, but people are talking about consolidation for a while. And it seems like there was more consolidation when times were good and people had access to 0% interest rates. So even though we knew there are people that are there are organizations on the ropes right now, but we're not seeing a ton of consolidation because the buyer has to be feeling good too. And I think that's it. But we do. So to your point, anyway, that was just I don't even know why I said that.
Hot take.
There will be, I mean, I'm hearing the rumors too. There'll be some big consolidation in the sales tech space. It's actually, it won't be picking up little guy. I mean, it'll be a merger of not of equals, but of fairly successful organizations, and allowing that combined organization to, hopefully deliver on, sort of not, it's actually, when I think about the consolidation, it's actually not, this is going to sound weird, so help me fight through this. It's not about the extra functionality. It's often about like the natural sort of flow of experiences. I feel like the stuff that we're hearing about right now, which I'm not sure we're talking about right now, but we are talking about right now, it makes total sense to me. Like all of them that I've heard makes total sense. Like the sales engagement platforms keep adding stuff, yet there's a market of vendors that have already added the stuff. So like, so yeah, you should come together, right? And especially if what Matt was describing, I forget what you called it, like the delivery mechanism or something like that. Like that, those things go together. But I don't foresee much, Judd, in marketing. Do you? I think it's sales tech. Is it?
I think so. Well, one that I can't wait to see what happens, and I think we've seen already some interesting things, no big plays, but obviously all the ABM platforms. I think that there's going to be some type of either consolidation or acquisition that's going to change that significantly. And my guess would be in the next 18 months. You heard it here first. No. And secondarily, I think that the other space that is on the cusp, I don't think it's quite there, but I think it's coming pretty quickly, is all the CS platforms.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah. Good one. Damn it, Jeff. Yeah. There's a bunch now.
There's like, if you go to G2 and just plug it in, I mean, there's like 20 that'll come up that are all rated pretty well, but where are they in their growth stage? What kind of integrations are they having? Who are they serving? Are we going to see some of these little ones that may serve a specific niche get eaten up by the bigger guys? I mean, there's been one major player for quite some time, and I think that now we're seeing them actually lose traction and lose a lot of it right now. At least the data that I've seen, there's at least 1 to 2 other players are actually growing faster than them.
It's a space I don't spend a lot of time thinking about. I spend most of my time thinking about MarTech and sales tech. For a long time, I thought for sure when Gong was first getting rolling, and Chorus, that sales loft and outreach would just naturally acquire them. Then they got bigger than the valuation of those two companies combined. And I thought for sure that they would acquire one or the other. And the reality is to Craig's point, they just keep building the same functionality. So like, Gong starts off with a call recording. Now you can send emails through it. Outreach and sales ops start off as an email tool. Now you can record calls through it. So like, it's interesting. It seems like now it doesn't make sense for them to merge. Although, that space definitely feels like it's softened as there's been a significant amount of layoffs. So there's potential for it there. I think there's a couple other vendors in that space who have like really great product that has just not, whether from their ability to spend money on marketing for awareness just hasn't gotten there. But like there's killer product that like exists in a level below the visibility of a sales oft and an outreach that I think would make a great acquisition for certain companies. But I mean, in the ABM space, we saw a fair amount of consolidation pre-pandemic. Demandbase acquiring Engagio, 6 Sense acquiring a whole slew of different vendors that were on the smaller side, but like packed a huge punch. I think that they've done a great job of acquisition. The other company that I think has done a great job of acquisition is Zoom Info. I mean, they've basically swallowed all data providers for the most part, with Dun and Bradstreet being one exception. I benefited from one of those at one point in my career. So it'll be interesting. Will Zoom Info seek to acquire a marketing automation platform? They've sort of dabbled with building one of their own, but I think that could be interesting. The promise that Salesforce had for years of, hey, we'll have the CRM and we'll populate it with the relevant contacts for you, that sort of never materialized from a slew of acquisitions they made. I think at some point someone will solve that reality, and that will be, that will cure a lot of headaches.
So Jeff, your predictions on the paper, but your predictions on paper in the next 18 months, I think. And what I will say is, I made fun. I sort of said you're going to have a self-fulfilling prophecy. I was trying to find a way to rip you and make it funny. It didn't sound funny. It sounded actually meaner than I meant. I did not mean it that way. But your self-fulfilling prophecy will come sooner rather than later. But what Matt said is important, which is it was when the money was flowing that the acquisitions were happening.
Could you guys see, and we'll end with this because I know we're at time. Could you see Zoom Info 6 Sense?
I'm not going to comment on that one.
Oh, I'll comment on it. Absolutely. I think Henry's done a tremendous job of acquiring businesses that benefit their install base. Acquisitions that they've made have been very strategic. It's where they feel either threatened by somebody in the market, so they can just basically stomp them out of existence, or where they're like, yes, this would be natural for our sales reps to go in and sell this to our install base. And they've done a brilliant job of that on the execution side as they brought in these acquisitions. So 100%. And it honestly, like, that kind of feels like a match made in heaven. I don't understand like the structure of 6 Sense at this point, just given that they're largely owned by private equity. But yeah, that seems like a natural fit.
Cool. Well, guys,
you guys know I'm a demand-based guy, so
I know. Well, I would have said demand-based, but I knew you couldn't say anything about that either. So, guys, this has been a fun conversation. Look, everybody, if you like this, there's more, and we're going to bring in some other crazies to get some hot takes, talk about all kinds of fun stuff. Make sure you show up next time. It'll be even more fun, and we will see you guys soon. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to GTM Unfiltered. To hear our innovative insights and strategies, visit gtmunfiltered.com. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time.